Hi, friends. This is CJ. I was talking to some people today, and the law of attraction came up. And so I thought, now is a good time to make a video about that. So, this is my perspective. It's not about getting stuff, which is what I originally thought. I thought, well, if there's a lot of things that I've wanted in my life that I haven't been able to attain. There have been some times in my life when I was pretty unhappy, and I just thought, if I could just get this career, or if I just was financially stable enough, everything will just be fine. And so it's not really about that, because it's not the stuff that makes you happy, right? I mean, you can't just buy something and then you're happy, or you can't just get $1 million and you're happy. There's plenty of rich people out there that are not happy with their lives. So really, that's not the whole point of it. It works like this. We all vibrate at a certain rate. Everything that exists is vibration. We're all frequency. Everything. Everything looks solid, but when it comes down to it, science has shown that everything exists as a vibration, and so everything resonates on a vibrational level. So what happens is, if you're resonating a certain frequency, then you attract other, things, situations, people of that vibration. So there is some scientific basis to this. I don't think they've proven that the law of attraction works yet, but there is a scientific basis for it. First of all, I won't get into details because a lot of people aren't, science minded, but basically quantum physics is starting to show that, if you, what you focus on is what you see. I mean, this is a real thing. They have done experiments on this where, when scientists are measuring something like where a particle is going to land, what they observe is based on where they believe that particle is going to be. So everything's kind of different than how we originally thought of. There are physical laws still. There are how do I say it? Like natural physical laws of gravity and that type of thing. But there's also an element of, what you believe. That's what you see. That's what you observe. That's what happens in your reality. So, I think we just aren't able to measure this yet because we don't have the tools, but we're getting closer. So watch in the future for that. But there's also just a wave resonance where, if the wind comes along and blows a bridge a certain way, and the waves match up. I can't remember the technical terms for all these things, but basically it will increase the height of the wave, and the bridge will start, bouncing wildly. Now they've figured out engineering tricks for this, and they've, designed bridges to, take that into account. But I mean, these are actual physical ways we've observed these kinds of things where, if two things are on the same wavelength, then they kind of are drawn to each other. So, so the way this works is you don't just think, oh, I would really love to be a millionaire, and yeah, that would be really nice. I'm going to be a millionaire, and it just comes to you. Okay, it's not a matter of just thinking, because your whole life you have been programmed and you've got these beliefs where you have these limiting thoughts that keep you from being a millionaire. And it can't, you could try and try and try, and no matter how much effort you put into it, you're not going to get that $1,000,000 because you don't believe that you're going to get that $1,000,000. Okay? So what you have to do is you have to be in the vibrational space to where you feel like you're rich. And so it's not a matter of, like I said before, having that $1,000,000 is not going to make you happy. It works in the reverse. What has to happen is you have to get in a good space. You have to get into a good vibrational space to where you're already happy, okay? And then good things come to you because now you're at a vibrational match to them. So then you're thinking, well, but then what's the point then of law of attraction? If you already have to be happy to get these things, then how do you get happy? Well, that's how it works. That's what you have to figure out. Every one of us has we all come from a high vibrational frequency. And this is my philosophy, my theology, what I believe. But I believe we all come from one source, very high vibrational frequency. Actually, the source probably contains all frequencies. But the point is, when you come into this world, you come from a high vibrational frequency. You're born with that. I mean, you don't come into this world. I mean, babies are crying sometimes when they're born, but you naturally have this resonance that is not, I wouldn't describe it as like happy on an emotional level, because it's not that kind of happiness. It's not conditional. It's just an ingrained sense of joy, and it's just a state of being, basically. I mean, I don't know how to describe that, but we've all felt it before where, you just kind of feel at peace, and there's like a kind of a flow as you're going throughout your day. And that's the kind of thing I'm talking about. I'm not talking about this like ecstatic, like, oh, woo, giddiness, I'm talking about just feeling kind of at peace and knowing that even if bad things happen, like, you're going to be okay. And then when you can find that place within you, then things start coming to you. It's amazing how this works. I've seen it work. I can't prove it, but I have seen it in my own life and in other people's lives around me. And it just blows my mind every time how fast it can happen. Now this topic came up because someone asked about, well, do you really just want to be happy all the time? I mean, obviously you have negative emotions. Like, are you just supposed to brush those off and just go about your day, and not address those? And there's a name for that. People have given that a name. It's called spiritual bypassing. So let's talk about spiritual bypassing for a minute. Because, I think you can get into spiritual bypassing if you're not allowing those negative emotions to ever come up. But first of all, let's go back for a second to law of attraction. And I want to just point out that law of attraction is a law. It's a natural law. It is not a spiritual practice. Okay. So keep this in mind. It's like the law of gravity. If you drop something out of your hand, it is going to fall to the floor. So if you are vibrating on a certain frequency, things are going to come to you to match that frequency. It's not like you're being punished. It's not like, oh, you did this the right way, so now you're being rewarded. Okay, that's not it at all. It's that you're vibrating at a certain level, and the universe has no choice but to match you up with that frequency. So that's the first thing I just want to point out. It's not like, oh, I'm going to do this thing and then, I'm going to be rewarded. So, secondly, there's no need to spiritually bypass. I mean, things are going to come up for you. Negative memories, thoughts are going to come up for you. And yeah, address them for sure. Let them come up. Notice how you're feeling in that moment. Notice that you're in a bad mood. You can even ask questions. Why am I in a bad mood? You know, I mean, that's going to happen. We're all human beings. We've all have had traumatic experiences in our lives that are going to come up for us again at some point, and sometimes they're going to stick with us for a little while, and we're not going to be able to shake them right away, and nor would we want to just shake them. The point is to, when those things come up, is just spiritual bypassing would be just to be like, I'm not even going to look at that, and I'm just going to change my mood without even addressing it. But what I suggest is, as they come up, you address those things, you do whatever you need to do, therapy, you know, I don't know, there's all kinds of spiritual practices for addressing traumatic things that come up, you know, from your memories, or there's EMDR as an example. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to address it. My favorite thing to do is a reframe. So if something comes up for me, let me talk about my personal experience. Like, basically in the past, I was just like a very negative person. Like, I always thought, you know, when things happen to me, I always thought, why is this happening to me? Is God punishing me? This is back when I thought of God as like some, you know, man up in the sky who's like doing things to like control my strings like a puppet or something, you know. But like, what am I being punished for? I'm a good person. Why is this happening to me, you know? So the trick is to reframe that and say, you know, what is this trying to show me? What is this experience trying to show me? Like, what am I learning from this? And then inevitably, if you ask an open-ended question like that, you're going to get some kind of answer. Usually something will come into my mind instantly, or it'll come up within a few days, and I'll be like, oh, I get it. I still haven't, you know, made this connection that I'm a worthy person, or whatever it is, you know. And so you do address it, but the trick is not to get stuck in it. Because what we do is we take that thought and then we run with it and we roll with it and we go, life sucks. This is hard. Everything's so hard. I mean, used to do this all the time, you know? And then you get stuck into this negative roll. You're on a negative roll, and it keeps spiraling, you know? And so what would happen to me is I would be like, oh God, this is so horrible. You know, I get a flat tire, let's say. Oh my gosh, this is so horrible. I'm late for work. You know, what's going to happen to me? You know, and then get to work, and then I'm late, and then I, you know, something bad happens at work. Someone says something negative to me, and then, you know, I check my bank account later and find out I have less money than I thought I had, and then another bill comes in the mail, and then something goes wrong with my refrigerator, and I have to buy a whole new refrigerator, and I would literally have days on end where just one bad thing after another happened. And so, it was because of my thought process, because I'm sitting there thinking, life sucks. This sucks. I don't like this. You know, that's all I'm thinking about is how horrible it is. But if you can reframe that and catch it early on, then that's when things start to turn around. So, you know, so let's go back to the flat tire example. I got a flat tire. I'm going to be late for work. So instead of thinking, oh, this is so horrible, think, well, what am I trying to learn from this? And then maybe what comes in your mind is, oh, you know, you or maybe let's say you get your flat tire fixed and you're driving to work and there was an accident on the way. you avoided that accident. You know, maybe you weren't able to get into work on time, and so you missed some, reaming out that the boss gave everybody else, but you missed it, you know? So maybe there was a reason for that flat tire. Maybe it was just something that happened in your day, and you can take that and go, okay, so I had a flat tire. Oh, well, I was a little late for work. I'm still having a pretty good day, you know? And the more you can see the positive things in your life and that you can be grateful for them, the more you're able to turn that around and get back into a good space. And it just takes practice. I mean, I'm telling you, I worked for years on this. It takes practice. One thing that really, really helped me was to notice where I'm focusing, because I knew about law of attraction for years, and I was like, this isn't working for me. This is not working for me. And then I started realizing that I was spending all day. I really was into news at one point, I still am, but just world events, what's going on in the world. So I would literally sit there all day long and thumb through news stories. And then one day I realized, wait a minute, why am I doing this? I feel crappy when I do this. I'm very drawn to it, oh, it's so sensationalized. Oh, this happened and this happened. But it just made me feel like crap, And so I started going on YouTube instead. I was like, I needed some kind of replacement, at that point. So I went on YouTube, started listening to, astrologers, whatever, just anything positive, spiritual, anything like that. And my life changed so dramatically. I mean, that's when I started having psychic dreams and just really synchronistic moments, and started meditating again and get in touch with my guides. And I mean, everything just started to come together for me at that point. I can't even begin to describe how much my life has changed over the last few years. So here's what I suggest. If you're just coming into the whole law of attraction thing and you're not sure how to make it work for you, or if you've been trying it for a while and you haven't quite seen results yet, do whatever you can do to get into that higher vibration space. So meditation works for me. I sit down, I do a little meditation where I cleanse my chakras and things like that. And I can actually feel it in my body. I start to feel a change in my body and in my mood. Listening to music, that uplifts me. You can even do things like, if you're just not in the mood to go out and try some spiritual practice, you can just do things that are, watch a funny movie. Watch TikTok is kind of fun sometimes if you just get on these funny videos. Watch inspiring YouTube videos. Whatever it takes to get you back into that good feeling space. Go for a walk. Get out in nature, There's all kinds of things you can do, and it's going to be individualized for each person. Some people are really into yoga, and I wish I could do that. My body's kind of not in as good shape as it used to be, so it's harder for me. I would love to try it again, and I probably will at some point, but just any kind of exercise, anything that's going to uplift you and help you turn that around and get that negative story out of your head, so it's not just playing on repeat. And then you wait. The results will come. If you are in that good space, just, at first just try and get in the good space. And then as you're getting in the good space, just have a thought. Just think, wouldn't it be nice if I found $10? And see what happens. I have seen this work so many times. I literally had $20 just show up randomly. I actually found a $20 bill one time, and I was just like, what? Right after I did one of these little, I call them experiments. Sometimes I'll experiment. One time, I used to listen to Abraham Hicks a lot. That's a great recommendation I have for anybody who's just starting out in this. But, and they had a story about, thinking of 3 things that are meaningless to you, so you don't have any kind of emotional baggage attached to them, you know. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do this. I'm going to think of 3 things and just see what happens. So I was like, okay, manatees, boxes, spoons, you know. Those are just the 3 things that came to me. Not kidding you, within a day, I went to take my kids to the doctor. There was a book about manatees sitting on the freaking table. I looked up at the TV screen. On the news, there was a story about a manatee that had been rescued or something. You know, I mean, I just like I saw 3 things that day relating to manatees. Who the heck sees that many things about manatees in one day, you know? Then I was like, okay, that one manifested. So I like was taking my kids to go get shoes, you know, and I'm like walking around in the shoe store, and I look around and I'm like, I'm surrounded by boxes, you know, like I just noticed these things. Now the weird thing is the spoon one, I couldn't see a manifestation of that. So I was like, what is going on? Why am I not seeing spoons manifest? And then I realized, wait a second, I'm always saying how I don't have enough spoons and my spoons keep disappearing. So yeah, I have some limiting beliefs around spoons. So, you know, you could say this is just all coincidence. That's fine, but I've seen so many coincidences at this point. I mean, my sister is a really good manifester. She will think, you know, oh, I could use some more money right now. And then people just like give her thousands of dollars, you know, and it's just like, wow, I wish I had that strong of a manifesting ability around money, you know. That would come in handy. But I do, it's just that I don't, you know, I have a lot of limiting beliefs around money, so that's a tough one for me sometimes. But then sometimes I will manifest money, you know. But the whole point is not to get things, though. Let's come right back around to this. The whole point is not to get things, but to get you in your natural state of peace and unlimited joy, and then you're just happy. It doesn't matter what happens in your life. You know, even if bad things happen, you're able to kind of like pick yourself up and dust yourself off and go on with your life and be joyful again in a relatively short period of time. So the point of the law of attraction is not to attract things, it's to actually get yourself in a better state of mind and a better place, you know, so to where you're enjoying life instead of just dreading the next horrible thing that's going to happen, you know. And I can speak from experience. I mean, I used to be horribly depressed. I used to think everything was awful, and I used to walk around saying that all the time, and my life has drastically changed. I definitely have, you know, times when I'm in a bad mood still. Doesn't last long, doesn't last nearly as long as it used to. I mean, I could be in a depressed state for weeks, sometimes months even, and now it's like it's rare for it to go more than a few hours or a day, you know, where I'm just like, oh God, just dreading, you know, whatever it is I have to do or, you know. But and then I'm able to turn it around. I have it's like building coping mechanisms or something, you know. So I think that's the whole point of it. And whether or not that's the whole point of it, the law of attraction does exist. It really, whether you believe it or not, it's kind of there, and it's going to work either way. So you might as well try and use it to your benefit, because what's the worst thing that could happen? Whether you believe it or not, like when I first started out, I was like, oh, you know, maybe this is a real thing. Maybe this is true. I don't know. But then I thought, you know what? But what if it's not true? What's the worst thing that could happen? I work to get in a happier place, and then I'm happier, you know? Or I work to get in a happier place and I'm not happier, but at least I tried to get happy. You know what I'm saying? Like, either way, it's not going to hurt you to practice, you know, to work with it, you know? So you might as well try it. I think it's a good thing. I mean, nowadays I don't even really so much focus on law of attraction. It's just something there. I just automatically just try and get in a higher vibrational mode most of the time. So, you know, a lot of times I don't even try to attract things anymore. I just get there, and then if I happen to think of it, I'll be like, oh yeah, I'd really like to, you know, work on this project some more that I kind of put off, you know. So, and then I find myself doing it or getting it or whatever, you know. So, so yeah, I hope that this helps some people. I hope that this resonates with you guys. And I'm just going to put it out there, and love to see your comments. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe, and I will talk to you guys again soon.